àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ní. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ní. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ní. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ.
First it was the dab, and now it's the Dino. Ladies and gentlemen, we had more issues to press upon, but these guys won't just let us be. They won't just leave the news circle for a minute. I'm talking about the Fuji House of Commotion. And no, not the Amaka Igwe production. I'm talking about the Nigerian Senate, aka Buki House of Commotion. One wonderful day right there in plenary, fine gentleman, Senator Ndume stood up and said, Mr. President, I've been reading the papers. And the papers say that you bought a vehicle and you have issues with customs, which is why you've been beefing Hamid Ali all along. Secondly, sir, I've also been reading in the papers that my brother, Senator Dino the Lion Melaye, didn't graduate fully from the Ahmadu Bello University apart from Zinc House in ABU. Then, of course, Senate President said, yes, I heard you, my man. Right now, Sam Anyanwu of Ethics and Privileges Committee, you get right into this. They had a meeting. They had an investigative panel set up. The Senate President appeared with a whole lot of senators in his usual manner, just like Davido and the HKN gang. And he said, or rather the Senate President went shaggy on them.
But you got me on the counter. Wasn't me. Saw me kissing on the sofa. Wasn't me.
Then the car dealers came through and they said, look, we had a deal, but not with Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki or any individual, but for the National Assembly. Granted, the car was for the National Assembly and not for an individual. So my question is this, then for who or what usage was it meant for? Was it meant to pick up Orion just in case he decides to visit the Nigerian Senate one of these days, or for kids to come on an excursion? And then somebody said that it's for the convoy of the National Assembly or the Senate President. So I know the Senate President already got a Mercedes, so I guess the Range Rover was meant for the police officers. And yet you say we don't treat police officers right in this country. Then after that, Senator Dino the Lion Melaye was called on to appear before the committee, and he came armed with loads of documents, and of course with the Vice Chancellor of ABU, who said that Senator Dino Melaye graduated in the year 2000. And of course, we heard that he served in 1999, which now explains the blue shorts in the copper photo. Going for service before graduation, the coppers, the NYSC didn't make provisions for his khaki, so he had to wear blue shorts. But of course, in 2001, when his mates had graduated and finished service, that's when adequate provisions were made for a discharge certificate. I must tell you this, Dino Melaye is indeed a very, very lucky man. I mean, a man who schooled in Kaduna State, served in Kaduna State, that's a big deal. A man who graduated with a third class, yet went for master's degree without a PGD, way down south. And of course, Dino is not the man who takes things lying down. He is a very strong mayor of Clapback. Dino came through right after the sitting with the Ethics and Privileges Committee after he was cleared and released the smash hit single that has toppled Davido's If on the Billboard charts.
Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ní. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ní. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ní. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ.
And for our international audience, just in case you don't understand what that is, this is what Dino Melaye was just trying to say.
And that's the sign of a victory.
And if that victory dance is anything to go by from anybody that has been accused of anything, then that means very soon we will be seeing something like this.
Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ni. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ni. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ ẹni tí ò tó ní nà tí ń dènà dé ni. Àjẹkún ìyà ni ó jẹ.
Seems like Senator Dino Melaye is the kind of guy who likes to prove a point. So here goes. When he was made a chief somewhere in his state, he came to work the following day dressed in his full chieftaincy attire, fully regally dressed so that you will know that the chief is here. Now he's been accused of not being a bona fide graduate, and he came through with not just bachelor's or master's graduate uniform, but PhD graduate uniform, just to prove the point. So I think right now we should just accuse Dino of not working out so that he can turn up with singlet. Oh, scratch that. He's already done that. So we're just going to look for something else to accuse him with. And we're still on certificates. Punch newspapers came out and said, look, we have a list of a whole lot of politicians who do not have certificates. And like clockwork, all spokesmen came through. Femi Adesina first. Count my boss out. And then President Jonathan's spokesman came and said, count my boss out. And from nowhere, like I said, they don't even call anybody anything. Larry Olayinka came out to also say, count my boss out. And then the president who issues the mail were like, hello, who called your name? We didn't even call you people here. Don't even join us in this conversation. We're back to the Senate because we have a whole lot on them and they won't just let go. They, of course, had to get a sacrificial lamb for all of these tribulations they had gone through in the past couple of days. And just like TV man Benga Aruleba had predicted that somebody was going to go down, and who else but again Senator Ali Ndume. And what was his offense? That he brought spurious charges against the dignity of the House, that he should have done due diligence and investigations and what have you, just so that before bringing it to the House. And I said, come on. Ali Ndume read stuff on the newspapers to justify the newspaper allowance that we pay them every month. So he was crucified for overuse of his newspaper allowance. And meanwhile, there is no investigation allowance or due process or due diligence allowance. So how do you think he was going to do due diligence? And then the Senate playing good cop, bad cop. They said they were going to suspend him for 1 year, 181 legislative days. And then the same Dino came through to say, no, don't do this. Make it lighter. And then they reduced it to 90 days, which is like 6 months. That's like Georgina Onoha begging on behalf of HNN Africa. That's not just going to work. Now, the President Muhammad Buhari sent in a list of 28 nominees to be resident electoral commissioners for INEC in various states. And of course, the senators have to screen and confirm the appointments. The next thing, Senator Peter Waboshi takes a motion and says, look, boys, we will not do anything about this list until Mr. President acts on a reflection of our decision on Ibrahim Magu as chairman of EFCC. And they said, look, we're going to give Mr. President 2 weeks to do this. In other words, they are right now holding the INEC appointments, hostage with Ibrahim Magu. That's another cute way of saying these senators are trying to grab the president by the balls. Jesus. And look, the balls are not the appropriate place to grab a 74-year-old man by right now. You can't even grab Donald Trump, who is 70, by the balls. You can't even grab the 65-year-old guy in Lagos by the balls. Senators, you really want to do that? You really want to grab a 74-year-old man, your father's mate, by the balls? Really, senators? You guys are wicked. And of course, A lot of people around the senators would also take that. And Professor Ise Sage rose up to the occasion and said, yo, senators, what you're doing is childish. Because come to think of it, only when we were kids, we used to fight and grab each other by the balls. Really, you don't really see adults, grabbing each other by the balls even when they're in a fight. So I think Professor Ise Sage has a point by saying the senators were acting childish, trying to grab a 74-year-old man by his balls. Now, Ise Sage says, look, you guys are childish and all of that. And then went further to say, after all, the Senate is made up of men and women of questionable character. Okay, actually, he didn't say women, but, so that the feminists don't come for this show. But he actually said the Senate has a lot of men of questionable character. And of course, the Senate seemed to be on hyper mode right now. I think they had a lot of energy drinks over the recess, so they're really on hyper right now. Immediately went back at Professor Sage and said, you know what? You said they are corrupt people? Fine. Mr. Sage, appear before the House now. Appear before the Ethics Committee and point the corrupt men who are in this House. And Professor took them to class, ladies and gentlemen. He told them, senators, sit down. Class is in session. Professor Sage in the building. Turn to section 88 and 89 of the Constitution. You have no right, and I don't even fall into the category of the people you should summon. Anyway, if you really want to do this at a good time and a good day, I will come through. Senators, don't say I didn't warn you. Sage is not the man to take up on that challenge, because he will come there and call your names one after the other. Like in Kemowo.
Are you wearing apron? Because are you urinating white silk? I be silk material. Oh, Suji. I can see legs, so there are other legs, so in between your legs, I can see. Oh, Suji, you're urinating a whole human being. You must be a wonderful man. Oh, Suwana. And you? Is that not today's daughter? Adugo. Ah!
I was only helping her to remove the soldier ants that was biting her back.
Soldier ants? It must be Navy or Air Force, let's just say Air Force. For them to fly to her back without going through her leg.
Hey, nah, it's not what you think. He's helping me to clean dirt in my clothes.
You're a stupid girl. He's helping you to clean. You don't know this man? You don't know this ram? He's helping you to clean your dress. After cleaning the dress, he will begin to clean everything under the cloth.
You at the back now. You can see. What did I do here now?
Osuji, prayer. You don't have shame. Look at the small girl you're touching. Osuji, with all your size, don't deceive yourself.
Nah, Long John. It's not what you think. He was telling me and I refused.
What did you say?
You refused. But you did not shout. The kind of refusal that you refuse by embracing. Osuji, I'm ashamed of you.
Long John.
Nah, Long John. My mother sent me on an errand.
Your mother sent you on an errand. And you came here. Erranding a whole man. That is why, look, I don't know whether it is a curse in your family. That's why you don't have meat in your body. The meat in your body, fat you should have used to grow. Use it to grind your waist. Look at the way it has kept you. Go and ask about your family history.
Long John.
I don't even know whether you wear half shimmy around.
Long John.
I said this is a curse to your family. Hey, what I shot John. What are you saying?
Let us iron out this issue.
You're a disgrace. You.
On the real though, a lot of all these things seem to be funny. We seem to be having a lot of fun talking about it. But it's really painful and it's really sad that the senators are leading the nation the wrong way or the wrong path right now, going off the rail of, burning issues. Or will I say issues that we can press upon? March is over. The first quarter of 2017 is over. And nothing has been said about the national budget. We have the PIB still hanging. Hamid Ali still running free with this heinous or with this dumb policy of import duty of vehicles, even if it's 20, 30 years ago. And all they're after are things like uniform certificates and pointing of who is corrupt and who is not corrupt. I think right here, the House of Reps need to call their elder brothers to order right now and say, guys, let's get into serious business. That's our show, guys. We hope to be back on the next show with some other issues that we had planned to press upon. And let's hope that the Buki House of Commotion would have left the news circle. And make sure that you are doing right, because right here, if it's not pressing, it's not an issue. And wherever you are, make sure you do this all the time.